Which
Yeah, well, I'm a Sunni
valid.
Muslim, so I accept every single authentic hadith. But let's go back because you're quoting. Hold on. So when you're quoting a hadith, you're going to take the entirety of the hadith. The hadith that you quoted about the burning, that is from a narration, and it specifies that all manuscripts were burned except for the manuscript of Hafsa that belonged to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, which means that we have an original text. So let me ask you guys this, because we're being consistent, and I feel like we're not really talking enough about the Quran, to be honest with you. I would like to tie it back, if that's all right. So we're talking, because you brought up the topic of burning and not having originals. Do you guys have an original of the New Testament?
The oldest copies that we have of the New Testament, or of the Gospels specifically, are in Ethiopia, written in Ge'ez, and they do confirm what is currently in the old, or in the New Testament.
And what is that dated to?
I'm not quite sure.
Okay, so the first instance, because we have nothing from the first century of Jesus, the first instance that we get a manuscript of one of the New Testament books, we have one of John that's about this big, and it is a couple of verses from John. No, it's credit card sized. It's credit card sized. It's P52. Okay. Yeah, that's the first fragment that we get. So we don't have a complete copy until some people say like Codex Sinaiticus and so on and so forth, which is compiled, right? Some manuscripts are from earlier, some manuscripts are from later. But you made a point about not having originals and so on. So how can you have an issue with us having a standardization process that a lot of people, such as textual critics of the Bible, actually praise Islam for and say that Christianity does not have this, but rather Islam does? How can you have a problem with our standardization process when you don't even have a copy of the Bible from the first century and we have the entirety of the Quran from the first century Hijri? Who was supposed to speak?
Yeah. So my point to prove that the Quran is not the final word of God is by his internal testimony. It's clearly in the Bible that, first of all, like she said, it seemed like the Quran appealed to the Bible to prove its relevance. It's like the Quran used the Bible as a passport to get into the world of monotheism, and then after it kind of gaslight the Bible, like it changed the author. So if the Quran have to confirm a God that was already previously revealed, it have to be consistent. So first, I don't see the consistency. I see that, I clearly see that the Quran is revealing something, but it's not revealing God. I think that the Quran is revealing something else. But not just that. I think in his internal testimony of the Quran. So who was the person that revealed the Quran? If we look at the Bible and the consistency, right? Because God is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning of the end, which means that he is consistent in his revelation, right? If we look at the way the angel appear into the prophet, is always making sure that they are not afraid. And when we look at how Muhammad have received the Quran, it sounds more like a demonic attack or possession other than a divine. And number two, I would say psychologically possible he was illiterate, and someone that is illiterate who don't have a very good time retaining things. So for me, the Quran cannot reveal God because the way it was revealed to the prophet was not aligned with the way God revealed himself to any other.
All right, you made two great points that I actually want to address. I'm going to address the second one first, however. You said that somebody being illiterate means that they don't have that great of an ability to retain information.
Especially in the trauma that he described.
Okay, perfect. So wait, hold on.
Oh,
so,
okay,
sorry, I just wanted to establish that. So if you say that somebody being illiterate or unlearned or whatever it may be means that they have a lack of ability to process or retain information, are you aware that the Bible portrays John as illiterate and unlettered?
Well,
explicitly it says that. So, but you agree that John was still capable of retaining and conveying information, right?
What are you referring to?
What am I?
Illiterate. I'm sorry. I'm just curious.
Yeah, in the book of Acts. In the book of Acts, it says that he is unlearned.
That's
right?
different John.
Unlearned
That's
does
John
not
Mark.
mean illiterate.
That's a different John.
No. Oh wait. So is it the John that wrote the Gospel or the John that wrote Revelations? Because some people say it's the same and some people say it's
John Mark.
Johns.
Nobody says John Mark is the same John that wrote.
I think you ran away from the subject. I'm talking about the
on.
revelation that Muhammad have.
Yeah, but you said
the revelation that Muhammad have.
Hold on.
Sound like a demon possession other than
the reason why you said that is because you said that somebody being illiterate means they have a lack of ability to retain information.
That's my second point.
I'll address the first point. I'll address the first point though, because
I think you ran away from the question.
So the first point that you made is that we want to see consistency, not just with the revelation itself, so what the revelation reflects, but also the way that the revelation is revealed, right? And you mentioned that when angels come to people, whether it be in the Old Testament or the New Testament, it's the case that it's peaceful, and it's the case that even if, hypothetically speaking, they are afraid at first, they are comforted, right? Yeah. So, and you said that Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was not comforted, correct?
No, I didn't say that. I said that the way...
He was comforted by the angel, actually. We have an authentic narration in Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya by Ibn Kathir.
I can answer if you want. I can tell.
Wait, hold on. I'm just going to answer that. She said not by the angel. So in Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya by Ibn Kathir, it's actually authentically reported that in the incident of the cave, Jibreel says to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, do not fear, for I am Jibreel and you are the messenger of God. So that actually expounds on the hadith that we have in Sahih al-Bukhari, the one that does not say that, but we have it authentically narrated that not only does he comfort him, but he identifies himself as Gabriel.
And I just want to chime in just to give my perspective on the prompt.
For sure. Go ahead.
My position is just very straight.